be seated. Esteemed PhD candidate, the College of Deans of this university, represented by us, has read your thesis and the propositions that go with it, and is prepared to hear you defend them. Please have a seat. Now, the opposition will be opened by Professor Mikkonen from the University of Helsinki.
Thank you, dear gentlemen. Dear candidate, where do you draw the line between pure industrial research, pure academic research, and applied research?
Yeah, of course, it's very difficult question to answer, but you can say that if the work the result of the study, if it's publishable either at an academic conference or in an academic journal, then especially if it's peer-reviewed in a journal, then I will say, well, more or less by definition, it qualifies as academic research.
Are you satisfied?
Yeah.
Thank you. Then we will move to the next opponent, Professor Silenkovic from the University of Zagreb.
Thank you. Dear candidates, thanks for. I had very pleasure to nice experience to read your thesis. I like it very much the way it was written. So do you think that you can run a situation that it's not economically feasible to use this approach? And
sorry to use this approach to
yes, continuous integration and then continuous deployment. If you are repeating a lot of tests, you know.
The interesting part is then that continuous integration, what we've seen from the studies, is that continuous integration can be applied on and is deployed, is used on different levels. That you could practice continuous integration or on a component level or subsystem level, but that doesn't mean that you practice continuous integration on the complete product level. So you can have huge benefits from this practice, but still not have that you instantly test everything on the complete product level. So I wouldn't say that you should just give up and say that, well, this doesn't work, but and this is very much what the thesis is about. How do you apply this to a large-scale and complex software system?
I propose in view of time to leave it here.
Thank you.
And we will move to the next opponent, which is Professor Afgrieu from the University of Groningen.
Thank you, Mr. Rector. Meneer de promovendus, dear candidate, let me also congratulate you on this piece of research work. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. I particularly appreciate the fact that you decided to tackle continuous integration and delivery in a very challenging domain, these of large-scale software-intensive embedded systems, and particularly doing so within your own company and other companies that work in the same domain. I think this is very important work that has to be done in order to be able to really understand the problems of continuous integration and delivery and, of course, propose solutions. Having said that, of course, I would like to exchange a few thoughts with you.
Yep, sure.
Data. So you were able to combine quantitative and qualitative data, which gives you data triangulation. But would you be also arguing that you have methodological triangulation in this case?
Yeah, it could be that very strictly, according to some definition of how you how you define research methods, you probably could argue that, well, this is not strictly methodological triangulation. Another way of seeing it is that since the data is collected in different ways, by using different methods, I actually dare to say that, well, more or less by definition of that you use different methods for collecting the data. I would say that it's a reasonable description to say that it's not just the data, it's also the method for collecting the data.
So we have time for another question.
A very brief one. With a brief answer.
I'll try to ask a brief question,
Yeah.
which is a bit more technical. So in the third chapter, you present a number of challenges with respect to how companies, the companies face with respect to continuous integration. And one of them, you say that end-to-end testing is impossible without architectural one-way. I would argue that that's the case for all domains. I don't see this as being specific to this domain of large-scale, software-intensive embedded systems.
Yeah, but isn't it the case that we're making in this paper, in the study, is that it is more difficult, that it takes more time?
So
So
the
I
runway
would
is
say-
longer.
Yeah, and isn't that specifically what's written? I wouldn't say that what we are saying, it's been a while since I read that exact sentence, but isn't it so that what we are saying is that the problem is that it takes longer? It's not that it's at all exists. So to me, it seems like a correct statement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then the opposition will be continued by Professor Zdoen from the University of Vienna.
So what would be your recommendation for best combining quality measures, also other things than testing? Do you have an idea?
Generally, what gives quality in a company?
In a company, and especially in the context of continuous delivery.
I would say that what has been seen in many ways in practice is that if you work with a large-scale software system, it's very tricky to design your system based on upfront design. So you need iterative development. So that working with continuous integration, continuous delivery gives quality to your product. And so it's two things then that you could measure. The first thing is speed, how often and what's the frequency of commits. But it can you might fool yourself to say that it's just garbage that comes in. You don't have any functional growth. So you must then combine this, when you measure the speed, the frequency of the commits, you must combine that with also to in some way measure, do new features or functions actually being constructed in the main track.
Then the opposition will be continued by Professor Karsjanova from the University of Groningen.
Thank you. Dear candidate, congratulations also from me for this thesis.
I would say that you can refer to this as like systems of systems, and that, and I would say that that's one of the things that you can say that will bring further complexity into this field.
The opposition will now be continued by Professor René de Lavalette from the University of Groningen.
Dank u, meneer de rector. Dear candidate, first of all, I would like to join my colleagues in this committee with their praise for your thesis. Okay, so it is information, knowledge, insight that is going via the arrows.
I think that's a good description.
More or less.
Yeah.
We still have a little bit of time left, so I'm now turning to the supervisors. So maybe first, Professor Mårtensson, would you like to ask a question?
Yes.
Yes, please.
So, thank you.
As part of that process, we have occasionally run into reviewers that have not been entirely complimentary of your work. And I was going to ask you how you felt about that, but we'll come back to that later on.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we will stop the procedure now. The College of Deans will withdraw for some time to consider its decision. Esteemed PhD candidate, the College of Deans of this university, represented by us, after having read your thesis and accompanying propositions, and after hearing your defense, has decided to award you the PhD degree at the University of Groningen, which you desire. Your first supervisor, Professor Bosch, is authorized to award you the degree in the customary fashion.
I am happy to accept the task assigned to me by the Rector Magnificus. However, before performing this task, I would like to address a few personal words to you. Geachte promovendus, dear Torvald, here we are. Normally I say, here we finally are, but in your case that is an exaggeration, as you managed to conduct the research in the thesis in a quite short period of time. According to my research, my records, we started to work together in the spring of 2016, which means that all the work in the thesis is based on only 3 years of work. I have never seen a PhD candidate become so angry and annoyed at a reviewer as you have. It's endearing, I must say, and it's, I have to admit, since I have a sense of humor too, I like to believe, it was funny to observe. However, I don't think it's good for your blood pressure and overall mental state, so I would encourage you to take a more stoic approach to these situations going forward. With that, could I ask everyone to please stand up? I'm afraid that this part is in Dutch, but I will read it anyway. Uit kracht van de bevoegdheid ons bij de wet toegekend volgens het besluit van het college van promoties van deze universiteit, verklaar ik Jan Bos, u, per Torvald Mårtensson, te bevorderen tot dokter en u alle rechten te verlenen die door wet of gewoonte aan het doctoraat aan de Rijksuniversiteit Groningen zijn verbonden.
As proof of your PhD degree, I present you with a diploma signed by rector, secretary, and supervisors, and sealed by the Great Seal of the University of Groningen. However, before doing so, learned, sir, it's my pleasant duty to congratulate you, also on behalf of the College of Deans of this university, with the PhD degree that has been awarded to you. Of the university with some information about the university and the city, and signed by all members. Thank you, sir. Please. And now I declare the ceremony closed.